Hi, so this is going to be for CYB 535, Policy Management for Security Solutions at GCU. This entire presentation is going to be about InfoSec concerns in organizations and how they have to develop a plan to be put in place, a 3 to 5 year plan that outlines the year-to-year strategies, the improvements they're willing to make, and just the overall focus will be on the information security. So to start, the difference between a policy and a standard, of course, we have to have clear definitions for these things before we can actually start writing them. Policy is just a written document that establishes the minimum. Of course, policies can go above and beyond, but policies are going to be what governs the minimum effort by a company or organization. The standard, per Merriam-Webster, is just going to be something that's given by authority, the customer, the general consent is a model. So policy and standards almost go hand in hand, but the policy is what's the actual written, and the standard is going to be what's the accepted, if that makes sense. So this leads us into standards and guidelines. Standards, again, are just going to be the established by authority, set forth as a model, a reference point. The guidelines is just going to be the best practice or the actual guidance on how to operate or accomplish a task. So, there's the old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that's kind of going to be the idea of a guideline. Here's the recommendation, but do you have to follow the recommendation? No. There's 10 ways to do something. What's going to be what fits the organization the best, with the capabilities of the personnel that they have to really set themselves up for failure or for success. Guidelines and procedures. So the guideline, again, is here's the recommendation on how to. The procedure is going to be the written version, the official written version from the company, from the organization, to say, here's how we are going to do it. It's something that they should have updated in their methods, something that they should be reviewing every 6 months, every 8 months, every 9 months, every year, just to say, hey, we are trying to stay on top of this. We want what's best for our clients, what's best for the company, and then overall, data security is going to be top notch. So to build from that, there's going to be so many different ways that an organization can actually integrate these policies into place and everything else that they're going to need to do. And first off, they're going to have to do some sort of audience analysis, and we need to know who their audience is, just like writing any kind of paper, any kind of research article. You need to know who your audience is. You need to know what they should understand, what they will understand, what they really want to get out of it, and what we need them to get out of it as the organization, as the company. There's pretty straightforward guidelines, short sentences. Don't draw it out. Don't overcomplicate it. Be very precise and concise when you're actually talking about what needs to be done. No jargon. This should be able to be read from anybody's point of view and say, hey, these are clear guidelines, these are clear steps, I should say, in doing something. Then that next step would be their actual writing process. Those research of the legal and ethical requirements. You have to really understand the state and federal laws that surround the code of ethics, and those procedures that are put into place. Overall, the determining purpose and audience, again, goes back to that audience analysis. Outlining key information is going to be based on the research that we actually have to conduct to stay on top of everything, to know that we're up to date. There's going to be all the necessary components. These often include contact information, professional registration statuses, any kind of qualifications, education, training, experience, licensures, etc. For our field, for the tech field, if you're going to want people that are trained to do these things, and if they're not, we can't say that they are. That next step being just drafting the statement. writing the initial draft. It's non-technical language, no jargon, no complex terms, professional tone, very transparent, very open, honest about the qualifications and our limitations of what we can and can't do. And then, of course, any good writing process is going to come with a feedback section. This is where we're going to be having to say, hey, this is what we're wanting to put out. These are trusted people that we're going to give this to, and an attorney, our supervisors, if it's going to be within, teams of some sort. We're really looking for clarification. If there's anything confusing that they don't understand right away, we need to clear those up so then our own team members and our own personnel can actually understand those. And then, of course, the attorney side, legal, ethical requirements, make sure that those are all met. Then reviewing and updating regularly, again, as I've already said, with guidelines, procedures, policies, they all have to be reviewed. Tech field's always changing. In the end, if we're behind on something, maybe it works for us, but maybe that doesn't work for our clients. Maybe we need to update something to keep our data more secure. Again, data security is going to be our number one concern. And then continuing from that, there's many ways that we can do that, just through different design elements, technical communication artifacts. That's just going to be the official term for the published policies, the published procedures, the internal documents that say this is what we do when X or Y or Z happens. But it's not hard. It's simple, straightforward, updated regularly, and it just needs to be done. Overall, if we're failing to make sure that we are reviewing these items, we're going to be behind. It's going to put us at risk. And at the end of the day, when we're at risk, our clients are as well. Which leads us to a risk assessment table. It's going to be understanding what our risks are about. And I apologize for me being in the corner here, but those risk levels are going to end up being pretty high, on the high to critical. When we're non-compliant, right there at the bottom, and then human error. Human error is human error. It's going to happen eventually, but the non-compliance should not happen. Those are things that need to be reviewed, need to be set in place. Those are things that will be set in stone. There will not be minimums met. There will be above and beyond every time met. To keep everything safe, we have to be following the minimums, of course, but we should strive and aim for higher than minimums, especially when it comes to data security, as already mentioned. Some of the risks that we face other than those two, cloud service outages. If our clients aren't able to get to what they can, where they need us to protect, when they need us to have, it's going to be a big impact for us. The likelihood of that kind of right in the middle of the road. Insider misuses, it's going to happen with those human errors. Data breaches, of course, we're always going to be facing some kind of threat in that sense. But it's part of that 5-year plan, part of that 3 or 5 or 4, however many years the company wants to set it up with. This is just a guideline for a 5-year. But it's going to happen, and we have to be able to review those. This is just a more detailed plan. Personally, I see us starting in that year 2 bracket, being able to have a developing and defined managed security system and put into place, formalized governance and standardized policies and practices. We should start here. We shouldn't be below here. The year 1 is before we, even would have a system put in place, but policies need to be written before things go. The big difference between 2 and 3, years 2 and 3, I don't see us having integrated operations yet. So, for example, automated patch management. I don't think we would have those in place yet, but it's something that we should be working towards. And then moving along, this is just a heat map. It's very similar to the last slide, except that it's just going to show where we're more at risk over time. So in year one, of course, we're going to have high to critical risk are going to be just taking over. It's going to feel that way, at least because we don't have these into place. Like I said, I would hope that we would start at the year 2 where we have everything defined, and over time narrow it down, be more specific in our intentions, but then go from there, of course. Continuing that 5-year plan, document our strategies, periodic reviews. These are things that have already been touched on and mentioned. Moving forward from here, the key roles that really need to be in this are going to be the CEO, the board, of course. If it's a direction they're not willing to go, is definitely something that we'll have to review, rewrite, make the policy more clear, make it more defined. Make sure that everybody is going to be invested correctly in the right direction. The CSA or CISOs, it's just going to be our leadership. If our leadership aren't on the same page, then for accountability-wise, no one's going to want to really get into that nitty-gritty of needing to do what needs to be done for these. These are not easy fixes. They are not things that can happen overnight. Those ideas may come, but just like any kind of governance, it's going to take days, weeks, months to make sure that these are corrected and in place. Moving right along, the IT and the security team. This is our day to day. These are the men and women that are going to be able to actually protect our data, do what we need to be done. If they have a policy that's implemented, or with from the higher ups, the CEOs, then they're going to be our front line. They're going to be the ones actually applying these policies in everyday use. And then, of course, going down, everyone needs to adhere to those policies. From employees to the top to the bottom, left, right, left. Everyone needs to be on the same page with these. And then, of course, integration and risk management, policy and procedure development, continuous monitoring and audits. Again, specifically, if we were to say, hey, we're going to use ISO 27000, it has 60 standards that cover everything from personal identifiable information, PII, and then business continuities, all the way to storage security and privacy strategies. So, integrating something like that into our everyday use would only put us above and beyond where we need to be and where we should be at. Going kind of over everything, we need to put those policies into place, put those practices into place, and then when something were to happen, we need to say, hey, what are the main steps we need to take, right? Overall, identify the issue. Technical and non-technical stakeholders, questioning interviews, data analysis, and taking the vague issues and making them measurable, making true computing challenges out of it, and saying, hey, this is where we are, this is where we need to be. Then going along, made a plan. Hopefully those are part of our policies to fix the issues, formulate solutions. This is going to be a collaboration across disciplines. If it's going to be top of the chain and maybe the lower branch employees, again, we all need to be on the same page to come up with these solutions and be present in making them. And then, of course, in the way again, but that last bubble says to solve and communicate results. We're not going to have a patch and nobody know about it, right? We're gonna have written reports. We're gonna have documentations. We're gonna have proposals on how to better ourselves. Oral, of course, here is one main example of oral. We're doing a presentation on moving forward and bettering ourselves. Demos, technical briefings, and of course, each of those should be tailored to the audience. Going back to those very first slides, right? And then applying that to Premier Data Solutions. Our mission, just deliver secure, data-driven solutions that empower our clients, right? If our clients don't feel empowered, they're not going to want to keep using our services, just straight up. Our vision, we want to be the best there is. That's every company's vision, right? But our vision is just to be a trusted leader in data intelligence and cybersecurity. Because if you can't trust anybody in this field, then there's really no point in being in it, right? I mean, we're gonna have companies all across the world, all across this nation at least, saying, hey, we need to secure data with you, whether it be employee files, whether it be technical installs, everything from everything from that and more, of course, right? We need to be able to have them access that. We need to be able to have that secured for them at any time, and really just be trusted in doing so, and making that 5-year plan happen. That InfoSec plan, of course, having that mature posture on it, making sure that everything is your tier 4 and 5, years 4 and 5, the sooner the better. If we're looking at a tier 5 or a year 5 standards and practices and policies in year 3 or 4, we're moving in the right direction. Could we be moving too quickly? Only time could tell, but we would definitely want those practices and policies in place sooner rather than later. And then again, protect the client data, promote security first culture, maintain compliance. Again, that ISO 27000, those are great to go as guidelines for us, but we need to go above and beyond. And then possibly in the future go with a threat detection with AI-driven threat detections. Something that we can branch into and see where it takes us. This last slide is just going to be pretty much references used throughout here. This is going to be if you want to dig into these a little more, you're going to be able to. And yeah, it's going to overall. If you need more information, this is where we should start. And of course, contact is always available. Reach out if there's any questions.